All right, welcome to Max Effort Kitchen Podcast. I am your host, Matt. We got your other host, Cornell. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
I'm so full right now.
Love it.
Yesterday we went to my parents' house, and I come from a family of 4 kids who I have the least amount of kids out of my sisters.
Okay.
I have 2, and there's 11 grandkids, I think.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
3. Let me think. 3. My 2 would make it 8. No, I think there's 12. There's 3, 2 is me, and then 4. So whatever that math is.
So that equals out a lot of kids.
Plus
lot
all
of
the
people.
spouses, plus my parents, plus my grandma was here. She's like 91 or 92, and then my uncle came out from Georgia. So it was a pretty packed house yesterday.
Wow, dude. That's pretty intense. I think I've been there at a point in life, but we're not there. I'm not there anymore. But so your Easter started yesterday, pretty much.
Yeah, so that was yesterday's Easter, and then it was raining down here, so everyone was in the house. And I have the oldest kids, 14 and 16. My daughter turns 16 like next Friday.
Okay.
And then it goes all the way down to like not walking yet. So there's a whole lot of craziness that goes on over there.
There was a second to take the register of that in and to the not walking yet. And I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not at that stage anymore. Like, oh man. But hey, people are out there, they like it. And oh man, what just happened? Did my screen? Okay, you see me? All right.
No, sorry, I don't see you. I see a white dot.
Yeah, it's really weird. Not sure
stuff moving. So
why that just happened. But we'll roll with it anyways. You can still hear me, so that's cool too.
Yeah.
It's telling me, my computer's telling me it wants some sort of like keychain right now. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Yeah. This is what happens when you have old software or computers, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, we'll go back to it. I don't have that anymore, and I'm not in that stage. And I've been there where I've had a big family gatherings for Easter, and I liked them at the time, but then I guess I'm okay with not having it at this point in life.
Yeah, my thing is, since there are basically, I think we figured out 12 grandkids.
Okay.
8 middle-aged kids, and then 2 parents. That's 22 birthdays a year. So I think I told you last time we were on the show, we did like the March birthdays. So we see each other every month already. So coming together for Easter is like, just saw you guys like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I think, who was I talking to about this? Yeah. Damon the other day was just like, he's like, man, we celebrate all birthdays, all holidays, and I'm like, yes, I've been there too. And then I always come up with the stupid joke. I don't know. I'm like, oh, my family's dead, so I don't have to do it. And it usually stops the conversation when I say that. So. Yeah. But it's good to do those things. It's also good to like, I don't know, mix it up. Are you guys the type that you're kind of, you show up to every event and you're like, you're there, you're doing it, and you guys are available for all that?
I do my best to show up. It's mostly my son and I who pretty much go to, someone from our family will be at everything.
Right.
So most of the time it's going to be me and my son. My daughter's really busy, and then my wife's a teacher, and a lot of times it's done on Sundays, so she's getting ready for the next week. So there's a handful of reasons why she might not be there, but we try to always have somebody there. But we're not the family who's going to be going to the baseball games and going to the soccer games and going to all that stuff. It's like we have enough going on just in regular life.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Like it's it's just it's a lot, and especially when you have these big families and then you have your own career and everything and all that's going on, and you're like this, it's a scheduling nightmare sometimes, right?
Yeah, and then I'm normally up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning for work, and it used to be something where they would want to start at like 5,
Yeah.
and then get done at like 10:30 or 11. I'm like, I got to be up. Like,
Like,
thankfully, with my my work schedule, they've learned to accommodate. We'll start at 2 now.
nice. That's cool. Well, I hope the Easter today was a little bit less intense, I guess you could say. But for us, we did some stuff in the morning, and then we just kind of hung out outside. I was really blown away because, and I'm glad that it was like this, but like, my kids, we usually we'll throw them some stuff for the Easter bunny and whatever. But like, we got them $10 gift cards to Target, and they're like, we want to go to Target. And I'm like, hey, guess what? Target's closed on Easter. Like, how about that? That's a good thing.
Did they fact check you?
Yes, they did.
My son would have 100% jumped on. Nope, they're open till 5.
Yeah. No, they did. They totally. Yeah. Maddie was on it and was like, just like, oh man, you're right, Dad. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good. It was good. I like the holidays, but I'm also glad when they're over. So let's move on. I'm still kind of working on this video thing, but everything's recording, everything's fine. So we'll just roll with it. Yeah. So Masters Nationals recap. It was a big weekend. It was fun. I don't know if I want to spend a ton of time on there, because I don't know what there's like a lot to talk about, right?
Okay.
But why don't you got there before I did? So why don't you start that one and see?
Uh-oh. Matt disappeared. I don't know what happened. Do. It says everyone can hear me and see me. So I don't know what's going on. Let me check the comments. Hello, world. Oh, you can still hear me. Hi, Alana. I'm getting text messages from Mrs. Max Effort Kitchen. All right, so I'm going to start talking about Masters because that's what I'm here for. I ended up getting there Wednesday in the evening. It was a funny situation where right when I got into the shuttle, I'm getting blown up by Alana. Thank you. I will slow down. Right when I got into the shuttle, one of the athletes that I went up there to coach early, because I wasn't originally going to get there on Wednesday, I was planning on getting there on Thursday afternoon. But one of my old teammates needed her coach hit me up and asked me if I can, or what day I was going to get there. So I was like, planned Thursday afternoon, but I'm not set in stone right now. He's like, well, Terry needs a coach. And I'm like, all right, realistically, it's not going to cost me any different. Worst case, like I was planning on renting a car anyway, so it'd be $25-$30 more just to get the new car, or to get the rental car for the day. And I ended up getting to sleep on the floor / chair at Danny Ear and Danny Lear's Airbnb. So Onyx and Caffeine and Kilos. They're both named Danny, and both of their names sound very much alike. So I was super stoked to get to be inside and not just sleeping in the car, because that was my worst case scenario. And it all worked out. So next day showed up, and she had a pretty early weigh-in. I mean, not super early. We've had 6 a.m. weigh-ins, and I think she weighed in at 8:45 or some around there, lifted around 10:30. And yeah, it went. I haven't lifted around her in a while, so I was just like, I'm just gonna take everything I'm just gonna do the numbers that the coach called out. And he jokingly said, hey, don't change the numbers. Like, these are the numbers we're planning for. Let's just stick to these numbers. I'm like, all right, no problem. So she goes out there. We're running the cards, kind of bouncing around, checking her competition, because in these master meets, there's going to be potentially like 5 or 6 different weight classes, all in the same age group. So we want to kind of stick to, we need to see who we're competing against. So she ended up going out there, smoking her opener in the snatch. And I was like, all right, that was great. And then her competition goes out there and hits her next lift. Then Terry goes back out and hits her next lift. And for some reason, the coach only wanted a 1 kilo jump. But granted, she is like 65, maybe 6. I think she's 64 years old. And he's back. All right, he's back.
Holy crap. Sweating right now, really profusely. Sorry.
Have you been able to listen?
Yeah, I heard until you said Danny Lear, and then like my computer just shut off.
Okay.
I'm like, at that point, I was like, oh God, what just happened? But it still showed you were on live. So hey, thanks for holding that one down for me.
That's going to be a funny little 2 minutes, but
okay.
Well,
so go ahead.
I'm basically talking about running Terry's cards.
Okay, cool.
So she went out, hit her opener, smoked it. Her competition came out, hit an opener, made it. She came out, made her second attempt, and we're only supposed to take a 1 kilo jump. And that may sound extremely weird, but she is, I think, 64, 65 years. I think she's 64. She's about to transition up to 65.
Yeah.
And she's like she weighed in way underweight, but she's not going to cut down to 48. So
right.
But I looked at the board and I was like, hey, I know the board, the cards say we're supposed to take 35 for your final attempt. Your competition just made 35. If you make this, you're not gonna, she'll beat you. She'll beat you in the snatch, regardless if you make it or not, because she has one more and she made it first. So I said, how about we bump up to 36? And she's like, whatever you want to do. So I tried calling her coach. Unfortunately, he didn't answer because I knew what we were going to do, but I wanted to make him feel that he was a part of the conversation. And she goes out there and it's her best snatch of the day. And then her competition goes out and now has to make a heavier weight. And she ends up missing that weight. So Terry did take the gold in the snatch.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I asked too late where I said during clean and jerk, she pressed out 40. And I'm like, so what's the heaviest clean and jerk you've taken in the last like 3 to 4 months? And she's like, 43. I'm like, okay. And we're opening at 42 and there's 40 on the competition bar right now. It's just about to go to 41. I'm like, we don't have a choice. So she went out there. Unfortunately, she pressed out the first one. No, she missed the first one, missed the jerk, pressed out the second one, and then missed the jerk on the third. So she still walked away with a gold medal in the snatch. And that was also her best ever snatch in competition. So it's a match of it, but it still meets her best ever snatch. And she's also been weightlifting as long as I have. We both started at the same time. So matching your best from within the last 10 years, that's pretty good.
I mean, that's pretty darn good. I think it's crazy because putting all that in perspective after you perform is such. For me, it was a hard thing to do, and reflection and hindsight's 2020 and all. Having all of that said, like I think at the end of the day, it is about your total. It's about what you're hitting in the snatch and the clean and jerk. And if you got to pick out the wins, and that was something you told me. Like I was sitting back there and I was like kind of bumming a little bit, and you were like, "Man, you had so many wins. Don't even worry about it." And then it started like clicking in my head, like okay, there was this, there was that. And I'm like, yeah, totally had some wins. It was an interesting competition because the lead up to it was probably the most intense I've ever had. I mean, even Damon said something to me yesterday. He was like, maybe the next competition you don't take as seriously. And I was like, yeah, I know. I would love that. And since I've gotten back, like getting back on the platform and lifting for fun and socially is like, wow, this is why I love the sport, is because I love to do stuff like this and have fun and lift and be with around people, because, a month leading up to it, I was very secluded to myself.
Yeah.
I even to the point where I told my training partner, like, hey, I'm out for today. I'm lifting on my own. And, luckily Damon and I are good enough friends that he totally understood where I was coming from. At least I think he did. But he, it was one of those things that like, I secluded. And then I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so when I got there, I had a little bit of nerves, and it just didn't feel like, when I'm warming up, everything's moving well. Everything's moving good. I'm loving it. I'm having a good time. I'm keeping in my mind, or in my, in my head, and not getting too out of it of what I'm doing. But the excitement of competition was not within me, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, I didn't have that excitement of like, yes, I'm getting out there to kick some ass. I was just like, okay, this, go through your routine. And it was a different level of intensity in my head, I guess you could say. But hey, you know what? I went out there. I went 4 for 6, which is very, very typical for me. 103, 130. I took third. I medaled. And at the end of the day, I look at it as this. The first time I did Masters Nationals, I took like 6th place. Second time, I took 3rd place. That's a win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a win right there. I was able to do some things in the lead up that were really hard. And that's a win. I can't tell you and Ryan enough, like, how much I appreciate you guys' mentality and level-headedness and the way you communicate when you're counting cards. Hands down, best. Hands down, the best.
Thank you.
Like, it was great. Like, I mean, I guess the only thing that would have made it better was like if, you had a Matthew Konar there, but even him, like, I've had him before and I don't even see him when I'm doing it. So it wouldn't have, I guess, mattered. But you guys communicated with each other well, and then communicated with me well, and it was perfect.
Yeah. So, I think the one thing that I personally find a bummer, and I think it could have, without even thinking about it, I think it definitely would get in my head.
Yeah.
Is your competition, who you didn't know you had because they didn't make weight,
yes.
ended up warming up on your platform and came to the competition with no coach.
Yeah.
And we ended up running their cards as well.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was insane.
I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah, and the thing about him, dude, he was supposed to lift as a 96.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll ever see him again. I don't know if he'll ever listen to this, but
yeah.
He missed weight by like 0.3.
Yeah.
Like, so if you guys don't know, you have to wear a singlet now, but you're allowed to weigh 0.25 over.
Yep.
He weighed in at like 96.6. And I like, that's something where, like, dude, just go walk around for 15 minutes, sit on the toilet. Eventually something's going to come out. You're going to make weight.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, he was sitting next to me in the weigh-in line, and he came out and he was like, he was pretty upset about it. And I'm like, that's a weird, because I thought you got the 0.5 rule. And he goes, no, she told me you didn't. And I go, why don't you just like go run around the building for a second, like sweat out something, and then go stand on it again. He's like, no, I got it. And I'm like, oh, and I knew exactly, like, when he jumped up to 102, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. So, well, some of the stuff that I did tell Ryan, I don't think I told you because that's not the headspace you need to be in.
Right.
But there were certain numbers that I was trying to play around with, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to run his cards, but I'll burn his clock if I need to.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're playing, I've never done it, but when you see people play chess against themselves,
Yeah.
like
totally.
they're not going to not do a good move because they're about to turn the table around and then go back and try to do something like that. So I was like, Matt is my biggest priority, and I will treat Matt like I would if I wasn't running this guy's cards. I'm doing a favor for this guy.
Right.
And if he misses a lift and I can have a chance to take his minute and give him less time to recover, I'm going to do it. So
yeah. Yeah. I think at one point at the end of the clean and jerk, you said that to me. You were like, listen, if I have to burn his clock, I will. And I was like, you do what you need to do. I, you know, at a certain point, I've always kind of been this way, even when I was in a team sports. Like, I get into this mode sometimes where I'm like, if somebody asks me a question, I don't know how to answer it.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, and I think at one point you were like, what do you want? And I was like, you guys tell me what to lift and I'll go out there and try it. You know, like I can't promise everything's going to make it, but like, it's like I kind of want to be just a sheep a little bit, and you just tell me what to do. and you guys responded well to that.
Well, I like that mindset,
yeah.
But in my opinion, that type of a mindset is not for where your level is right now.
Okay.
That mindset needs to be a very beginner.
Yeah.
Or you're going to win.
That's a good point.
And when you're right in that middle, you need to be able to take some responsibility for what you want.
Yeah.
And because how pissed would you be if I was like, oh, we're gonna take a 3 kilo jump, and you're like, dude, I want like 6.
Yeah.
And then you go and make it, and then all of a sudden you didn't make the total you wanted, and that kind of a thing. But in the beginning, people are like, oh, I want to hit PRs on my openers. Like, you're an idiot. You haven't earned this yet. And then once you get to that highly advanced level where like you're trying to win internationally or I mean, even nationally here. And it's like, we're going to set you up to win, but are you going to be able to pull something out of your butt you've never done before?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a really good point too. You know, as an athlete, sometimes it's really easy to put the pressure in somebody else's hands. But like you're saying, you know, you kind of got to step up and say. And at one point, I did look at you and I was like, "You want 33 or 35?" I go 35. Cool. And then you were like, "Well, what do you want to?" And I was like, "I don't care. I just want a medal around my neck." And you're like, you go, "I think you're already there. So let's go 35." And I was like, "Let's do it." Cool. So, and you know, I was watching back on that 35, and I'll tell you, in the moment, it felt like shit. It was like, oh my God, that jerk took me all over this platform. I watched it on video. It definitely was a press out. But like, I was like, man, I saw some lifts there that were pretty close to that got the white lights. So, you know, at the end of the day, I just need to make a lift. And that's what it was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have to always strive to make 3 white light lifts.
Yep.
I did hear I learned some stuff by a couple of the people I was talking to who were out there who were officials. And apparently there's a lot of people who the strictest people are generally going to be the ones who are there testing for their national referee, like certification.
Yeah.
And they have to be extra strict. The people who are normally super chill are the ones they've got it and they've been doing this for a long time. And they're like, whatever, this guy's not, or this person's not going to the Olympics kind of thing. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're 80 years old.
Totally.
Those arms are as straight as they'll probably ever get.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I never have been the type of guy that's like, oh, I had bad judges or, you know, I got robbed or whatever. Like, the end of the day, I just need to go out there and I need to make a 3 white light lift. Like you said, like that's my responsibility right there. Because if I do that, then it takes the judges out of it. So
the other thing for people that this is just my personal opinion, but if you're a lifter who you hit your jerk, you hit your snatch, you put it down and immediately you turn around, look at the board.
Yeah.
You've just admitted so much doubt in your
Yeah.
mind.
You got, you got to make your lift with confidence, drop it, do whatever you do and walk back downstairs,
Yeah.
like, and just expect that you got through white lights.
Yeah.
It's always going to be better.
So that would be my advice.
I don't know. Yeah. I think, overall the meet, I felt it was ran better than the last Masters Nationals I went to. I really enjoyed, there was like a sense of music there. There was just like like at all the Masters meets, the camaraderie, the people that were there. It was just a really good and well ran meet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it felt like USAW was trying a little bit hard, but I'm not going to get into the whole controversy of the USAW because there seems to be a lot of that crap going on right now.
Sure.
And I've always been the type of person that, if it's not affecting me, then I don't really have a place to like jump into it. And it didn't affect me, and I enjoyed the meet. Yeah, and overall, they had some good boosts there. There was Caffeine and Kilos, there was Onyx, there was who else? The On Performance,
Yep.
the throwback T-shirts. I always get one of those. I love those guys. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'd say the only downside to the entire trip was the food. I just didn't, I was eating just to eat, and I was hoping to get some really excited thing. Now, I know you tried some really good food like before I got there, and I was like sort of jealous about that.
We tried to go there after, and unfortunately,
I know.
too busy.
But yeah, no, it was a great trip. And obviously I've said all my thank yous, but again, thank you for everything you did. It was fantastic. I look forward to it. I think Damon and I are talking about July strength take meet.
Oh, nice.
And so there will be some talk with you about that just to make sure that there's spaces and whatever we need to do. But yeah, I think that's probably the next one. I told Alana about it, and she's like, yeah, you should go do that. And I was like, I'm going to write this down because
Can I video you saying this
can
right
you
now?
say that again for me really quick? No, but she was super supportive through it all. Like, I just think that, the support that I got through this was fantastic. And it was probably hard at times, and I'm a man enough to admit that. So.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think you did great. Everybody that I ran cards or helped run cards for, like, everyone did great.
Yeah.
I got the privilege of running cards for an old teammate, Stephen Powell. So
Nice.
If you guys don't know that name, this was his 281st meet ever.
That's so cool.
I bunked with him for one night at Worlds in 2022, and he told me stories that I couldn't even, like, there's just still mind blowing. Like,
yeah,
going to Pan Ams and doing the same workout every single day for 6 months, and his coach never letting him go up, walking out, opening at a double body weight clean and jerk, and then jerking it again just to show what kind of condition he's in. And they gave it to him. Then the judges all started talking, and they took it away.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, it's the clean and jerk, not the clean and jerk and jerk. And he's like, all right, bump me up 10 kilos. And he goes and smokes like 165 split clean, split jerk.
The split clean, he did that in one of his attempts, right?
Yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy to see that.
When he started explaining how it worked, I was like, you got it. This makes sense. I mean, it's not something I think I'm going to pull off, but
yeah, right.
When you get to that age where, like, that's an option,
mm-hmm.
he basically said you don't get tired because you catch it, and then you use the leverage of your legs just till you lean back, and then you stand it up.
Yeah.
And your legs don't get tired. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
That's, I think, worth trying,
Yeah.
That's a Saturday session where you're just like, all right, we're going to do this.
Yeah, but he said his best clean jerk was 175,
nice.
Split clean.
Nice.
And at 75 body weight.
That's awesome. That and just his journey all around. If you guys don't know, go find out. And he's been through it, man. He has been through it.
He was an alternate in 1984 on the Olympics. He's got the patch that shows that he was, like, he made the totals he needed to go, but there was enough other people who made higher totals. But
yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
That is. Well, thanks. I'm going to do a little transition here into something that you actually poloed me this week, and I really found interesting. I think it would be a great topic to talk about, which is the philosophy of Max Out Friday or Big Friday or whatever it is you call it out there. And why, I mean, I guess I'm going to let you kind of go away with it and just kind of explain like what you were thinking. I know what you were thinking, but go for it.
Okay. I haven't thought about it since I poloed you, so I'm gonna remember it all and think.
Well, here I got it fresh in my brain, so because I listened to the polo today, and you know, it's kind of the idea of like when you ask yourself what going heavy or what maxing out does to your body, and the whole like the recovery stage that comes along with taking a lift to a max effort or a max position. And to me, I understand why it might have been a thing and why it is a thing and why some people still do it and hang their head on it and on all that. Great. Hit your maxes. I don't think it should be every Friday because of what it does to your body. I think that you should maybe do it once a month, maybe twice a month, or just go heavy and not max out. But to do it a max out Friday, every Friday, I think you're just setting yourself up for a little bit of failure when it comes to the recovery. Now, I'm speaking from an old guy perspective. So remember that. Like, I'm not 24 years old. If I was 24 years old, my mindset might be a little different. I don't know. But you know, what do you think about that?
Okay. Yeah. I'm refreshed.
Okay.
So I think what kind of sparked my mind that I wanted to talk about this was I told you I've been deep diving into a bunch of archive weightlifting house podcasts, and they had one on with Dave Spitz. And this was 2019-ish.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying.
I think it was when they were out there, but I'm not 100%. Maybe it's 2018. And they just started asking Dave a bunch of questions because they know what's on the internet from on YouTube, and it's probably Instagram as well. But just the whole how crazy it used to be back in the boom days, they called it.
Right.
And how they just hit heavy all the time. And Dave basically was like, yeah, we don't do that anymore. We realize that that's how everyone's getting hurt. They're not having time to recover the rest of the week, and they're just injured all the time.
Yeah.
And he said that they'll have a heavy Friday or a heavy day leading into certain competitions, but everything is much more precise and targeted, and we want to hit this on this day. We want to hit this much on this day. Maybe we're going to hit less the next week, but we're going to hit it more sets. Yeah. So we were on a team, you and I, where every Friday was Max Out Friday. Mm-hmm. And it was the easiest program there was out there because there was almost no percentage work. It was just go till you fail and then you're done. And it's like, you never failed. Like, technically speaking, you never did not complete the program because you were missing lifts. Yeah. Because that was just it for the day. Yeah. And a lot of these guys who are doing it, they're hitting the same totals every single day. There's this new website that's out there. I don't know when it got started, but you can look it up. And I don't know if I'm supposed to put it out there, but you can look up any lifter in USAW and any meet in the last 10 years, 10 or 11 years, I think 2013, it shows what meet they did, how many lifts they made in each meet, what their best total is, how many bomb outs they have, their snatch make percentage, their clean jerk make percentage, and their total make percentage. And I randomly looked up some of my old teammates, and I'm like, wow, 40% make rate. In the last like 7 years, you have improved your total by 3.
By 3. Yeah.
Great job.
Dude, that piece of data and the fact that that's out there, I think is really freaking cool. And you know, it just hey,
it's amazing
it doesn't
coaching
lie.
because the reason I don't want to just put it out there is because it's a coaching tool.
Yeah.
And it's something that if I'm going to be running cards for somebody, I want to be able to look up what their competition is and be able to see every single thing that they've done in competition over the past 11 years.
Right.
Like that's data that I want to know.
Yeah.
And it's out there for the world to find. I'm not going to put it out there because that's currently my little advantage that I have over a coach that I'm coaching against right now. So
it's good work. Good work.
But just so these people who are hitting these heavy weights all the time or maxing out, they're no longer, they don't fail what the program has because it's just build to something heavy till you're done.
Yeah.
It's much more impressive to have targeted weights. It's like, oh, you want to try something hard on a Friday? Hit 5 singles at 95%.
Yeah.
Hit 10 singles at 90%.
Yeah.
Have something where if you don't complete them all, you failed. I remember changing when we were back on that team. I would change up the program and I'd be like, I know I can snatch 140 today. Can I hit a 10-minute EMOM at 120 and then 10 more minutes at 125?
Yeah.
I made 20 snatches in a row in 20 minutes doing that.
Wow.
And I was like, that was much more impressive and like confidence building in my brain than just going out and hitting another 140 snatch.
Yeah, I like that. And I remember because I was kind of the same way on that team where I would not change the programming per se, but I would make it work for me. And I knew when I could go heavy and I knew when I couldn't, but I also knew, you know, when you go, like, think about it, when you did that EMOM, you got way more progress out of that than you would have by just going to a max, right?
Yep.
Like it just makes sense, especially when we're in a sport of like repetition.
Yeah.
Repetition is really like the more reps you have, the better you are, the better you get. That's why, you know, Cornell, you can say I've done X amount of reps over my, X amount of years. And I can, you can walk onto something with super confidence. Now for myself, and I'm the same way up to about 6 years of reps. And I would say in this last year, I've really felt the importance of reps over max weight.
Yeah.
Because it's just helped me hone in the technique. It's helped me get that base like value of what I need to be able to move up. So when we do something like we're about to do, which is kind of change things up with me and get my feet moving, I'm not worried about the technique everywhere else. I can focus on my feet.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. So, putting in the reps rather than the max efforts every day, all day, or even every Friday, I think makes complete sense to me.
Yeah. I would say that the one good part about being like when we were doing that for the first probably year that I just kind of blindly followed the program, not understanding that it was literally just, I don't want to say too much about it, but
yeah, totally.
I gained a different maturity in lifting where I didn't need to chase the big weights. I didn't have to constantly be like, oh, I really want that next kilo.
Yeah.
It's like I learned to be content and like I don't know how to try to phrase this right, but like I don't need the PR. Like I would like it. There comes a time where I would like it, but I went a year every single weekend, either Friday or Saturday when I would lift, totaling 300. I think I did it like 48 or 50 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But I could not hit 302, 303. I could hit 40, 60, 35, 65, maybe 37, 6. It was never, I was never hitting that 305, 310. My best total at the time was 311. I was never getting close to that.
Right.
And then I think because I wasn't hitting the total I wanted, I just had that mindset of, I can't keep doing this. I'm not recovered enough because I'm hitting max effort lifts on Saturday. Sunday's trash. Monday's worse. Then all of a sudden I'm only lifting 60, 70 kilos.
Right.
Trying to do the program with that. And then by Wednesday, it's like, all right, I'm going to get up to 75, 80%. Friday would be light lifts. And then Saturday would be the same thing. I did that same exact progression for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized I want more. And this program is not going to get me more. I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but a max effort / like Bulgarian style of programming is kind of like going to Disneyland. It's going to be fun. Let's say you have a week and you're going to go to Disneyland, and it's going to be fun. You're going to get to go on different rides. You're going to have your stimulus going on where you're just excited. You're going to get popcorn and all that kind of stuff, compared to you're going to take a week and you're going to go to Colorado to go snowboarding.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different style of fun. It's going to be, but you're going to be learning. You're going to get tired. You're going to be put in situations where it's not super easy, but when you get through them, you're like, I just grew. I just became a better snowboarder. My skill is going up.
Mm-hmm.
And just having something where it's just all hype and yelling and trying to act like a tough guy.
Yeah.
Just you yell on roller coasters too.
That you do.
There's not too much yelling on a snowboard slope until you're done and you made that huge jump, or you made that big rail, or you hit that perfect powder line. Then when you get done and you succeeded, then you're excited.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you're talking about this, I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, is in a weightlifter's life, and this is, in your opinion, in a weightlifter's life, do you think there is a benefit through going through a system like that? Of like, if they took a year and just went through like something like that, like, or in the beginning, or maybe intermediate, or maybe when they're more experienced, I don't know. Do you think there's a benefit to having that actual system in your life at any point?
I would say it is. I don't regret doing it.
Yeah.
I think that I learned a lot of what I don't want to be doing it.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have learned that without doing it.
Yeah. That's, and literally that was the answer I was trying to pull out of you, because I think we've talked about this before, and I'm the same way, where it's like, I'm glad I went through it, but I'm glad I'm on the other side of it.
Yeah. Now my training is, it's funny because the majority of my lifts are under what was prescribed.
Yeah.
I lift lighter than what I'm expected to lift, but I know that it doesn't matter because I have the strength I need to. And the big thing is I need to stay healthy and not be hurt. And I also know there's a lot of people who will say, especially coming from that team, that are saying like, I need to lift heavy because I don't want to forget what it feels like. I don't want to get scared of the weights. And I just talked to one of our old teammates, Lauren, the other day, and I said, hey, you're on a different program now, different team. You're in a better place. You're not expected to go and hit PRs next week.
Yeah.
If you're going to compete in, let's say, 6-8 weeks, you're going to start ramping up. You're going to start building up and start touching heavier weight than the week before. It's not, you're just going to get thrown into expecting to go open at 93%, go 93, 97, 101%.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's not.
There's
also the thought that like it's really easy just to lift heavy, right? But it's not really easy to stay at an 85 to whatever 75 to 87% consistently over a number of X a number of reps and hit the lift the same way, the same time, with the same technique, and make it every time.
Yeah. Unless, here's the one caveat to that.
Okay.
Unless you're lifting the same weights you've been lifting the last 5 years.
Well, there you go.
If your one rep hasn't gone up, I mean, I looked at, it took me 2 years to snatch 125 kilos.
Right.
8.5 years later, I've now snatched 153.
Yeah.
So it took me 8.5 years to go up 23 kilos or 28 kilos.
Right.
I think that's pretty good.
That's really good.
But I did from 2020 to 2024. So it took me 4 years to go up from 145 to 153.
Okay. Wow. That's an interesting spread right there.
Yeah. And it also took me 2 years to go from 125 to 126. So there's a lot of reps that went in to build up to those next PRs. And then it's not necessarily going to be like, yeah, you got that 1 kilo PR. See you again in a couple of years. It's going to be like, hey, this was the first step.
Yeah.
You're pretty much ready to make 3 or 4 PRs in the next month and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons to all of it. I think we've talked about. I think that it's good to stick to a team for 2 or 3 years, and even if you're in good standings with, as long as you're not progressing, stick with it.
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
But go try something else, because someone else is going to have a different focus than what your last coach had and what the last program had, and I think that's a good thing to get different perspectives.
Yeah, and I think it just makes you a well-rounded lifter if you can move to a different program and find a way to get better. Because it's just like anything else. You switch up your routine. You put on different shoes. You feel like you're lifting better, right? Yeah. It's like it's down to that like little percentage of like, ooh, I changed my shoes today, and all of a sudden I'm moving my feet better. Okay, cool. Now take that on a bigger scale. And take what your base knowledge, your technique, and everything. Go move to a different system, and see what you can learn and add to your, maybe your bucket of skills, and go from there. I don't know. I think that it's a really, really good thing to do.
Yeah, I think the other good part about it is if you've been on a team for a long time, your coach has kind of accepted that, like, Matt doesn't move his feet. I'm not gonna fight this anymore.
Yeah, totally.
But then if you switch teams and someone's like, "Oh, you're not moving your feet," well, that's not acceptable. We need to work on that. That's what's holding you back now.
Yeah.
Or same kind of outcome. You switch to a different team. You want to be on your best behavior. You want to show the new coach how good you are.
Right.
You don't want to be just some guy who's all sloppy and missing lifts and
you want to prove yourself, right?
You want them to take you serious, so you're going to put your best foot forward.
Yeah. It's just like you start a new job. I mean, it's been forever since I've done this, but like you start a new job. I don't take a vacation in the first 6 months because I'm taking my time to really build my foundation and learn people and like show my boss like this is what it's about. This is what I do. This is how I work. Same thing with a team. You got to take the respect and give the coach or the team the time and respect for the short term to show, as long as they're giving it back in return, right? I mean, yeah. Well, shit, dude. I mean, I really like this conversation. I think that as masters lifters, we have a little bit of a base knowledge to talk about because it affects our bodies a little bit differently. I think even the 24-year-olds can probably take something from this. But overall, it's like just keep progressing forward. And that's the thing is like if you start to feel stagnant, change something. Yeah. Talk to your coach.
Buy new shoes.
I like that. All right, buddy. Well, after our technical difficulties, I think we're probably at about 40-ish minutes right now. Yeah. So, good return podcast. I'm like that we're here. I think we have a lot of fun things to talk about moving in the future. There's a lot of things coming up as far as coming throughout this year. You have a meet coming up, correct?
Hopefully. So
okay.
I did tweak something in my back. Don't know what exactly it was. Then it moved around, and then it was hurting in different places, and then I moved back, and so I am on the mobility train right now of just getting flexible, getting mobile. Something's going on with my lower back, but I figure I'm going to put 2 hours on training days a day to mobilizing reverse hypers, back extensions, lots of hip stretches, I have a little apparatus that helps you do the splits. I busted that back out. I'm just going to try to get everything else functioning so I can get into the positions I want to get in to make some lifts. So
solid. Well, I hope you get there. Would love to see you compete again. And yeah, I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
I don't think so.
All righty. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you're watching live, and we'll see you next time. Adios.
Bye.